die Verbrennung der Amerikaner.
What is up, my stunning mates of YouTube? My name is Aussie Marcel, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about two 1980s men's powerhouse classics, Lapidus Pour Homme and Jacques Bogart's Signature. But before I talk about them, I just wanted to announce that I will be postponing the giveaway for Armaf's Le Parfait Pour Homme until next Friday. I just want to give everyone a chance to enter this giveaway, and so if you haven't entered it yet but you want to win a free fragrance, you got to be in Australia, you got to be subscribed to the channel, got to be following the Aussie Marcel Instagram, and let me know down below if you want to enter the giveaway but you haven't entered it already. Now, I'm keeping an eye out for everyone's comments, so if you would like to enter the giveaway, just let me know. Can't wait to announce the winner and send out a beautiful fragrance to one of my beautiful mates. So, seeing as though we're talking about 1980s powerhouses here, I just wanted to mention an absolute nostalgic classic, and that is Joop or Joop Homme. This is also from the 1980s, and this used to be an absolute standard for going out clubbing. And what an iconic scent this is. If you love or hate this one, let me know in the comments below. I know there's a lot of people out there that have very strong feelings about this, and I'm curious to know what you guys think of this one. For me, this just reminds me of high school. It reminds me of buying my very first cologne to impress all the girls that I had crushes on and all that shit. What an incredible fragrance. Look, I look at this one with rose-colored glasses, or purpley pinkish colored glasses, I suppose. It is an absolute powerhouse. To this day, the performance is incredible. I've got like a striped dress shirt that I wore at some point, like, I don't know, would have been like late 2021. And I've washed it multiple times since then, and it still absolutely reeks of this. I call this an eternal fragrance. Between some of my mates and I, we actually call this one the Beast, just because of how well it performs. Yeah, what an interesting fragrance. I had to spray it, guys. I just had to. It smells synthetic, like absolutely nothing in the natural world. It's got a couple of like vanilla-ish notes. It smells a little like cinnamon, like cherry Coke, Dr. Pepper, cough medicine. You know, I'm sure there are people out there that absolutely despise the way this one smells, but I know that there are a few of you out there that have a fondness for this one. So if you're one of those people, I can't wait to hear from you down below, because I'm nostalgic for this one. This just reminds me of high school. It reminds me of trying out expensive fragrances, impressing all the girls that I liked. I mean, this just reminds me of like the best times in my life. Going out drinking on the weekends, kicking over like bins and mailboxes and being an absolute menace to society. Look, I wasn't perfect, you weren't perfect. Wow. Joop Homme is the smell of youthful rebellion, and it's the smell of a teenager that just applies way too much cologne when they really need to go easy on the sprays. And my fragrance of the day is Calvin Klein's Eternity Parfum. When I went to get a coffee this morning, I actually got a pretty massive compliment for this one. It's boozy, it's rummy, it's very sweet. It's very 2022 in how it's presented. This fragrance smells absolutely divine. I even think that like it's sweet enough that a woman could pull this off. Or anybody that wants to wear like a sweet boozy fragrance, you can pull this off with no problems whatsoever. I mean, it didn't top my list of favorite fragrances that I tried last year, but it would come bloody close. It's absolutely incredible. You're paying well under $50 Australian for this one. It performs for over 12 hours, and it performs better than $100 fragrances. So, I mean, it's just a great smelling fragrance. This may be too sweet for some, and if that's one of you guys, then that's unfortunate, because I do think this is worth checking out, and it's so good. I would even say it's blind buy worthy. It's probably the best CK release in a good few years. So if you haven't checked out this one, definitely check it out. I even prefer this to Calvin Klein's Defy the Eau de Parfum. So now we go to the main events, the main attractions, Lapidus Pour Homme and Bogart Signature. Let's start with Lapidus Pour Homme and how iconic this scent is. Not many people know about it nowadays that are outside of the fashion and fragrance community. Here's just the bottle design. It looks very old school, very 1980s. Atomizer is absolutely potent. And for the fragrance itself, it's warm, it's spicy, it's got a hotel soap quality. It smells absolutely amazing. What I like about this one is that despite the fact that it's an eau de toilette, it actually performs incredibly. This is a 12-hour scent, at least on my skin. I wore it after I showered the other night and I only had 2 sprays and it was almost too strong. But I think that's what this sort of fragrance is for. It's for that unashamed guy that wants to go out, wants to smell old school. You know, he's a pretty powerful bloke. He wants to smell the 1980s. He's got the 1980s in his blood. And this is just an iconic fragrance for that sort of mood. And that if you can't find that fragrance, I've got 2 recommendations here that you may be able to find. And the first one is actually quite surprising, and that's Drakkar Intense. This smells pretty close to Lapidus Pour Homme in its warm, spicy quality. This smells less like soap. It's like slightly more aromatic. And it doesn't share the honey note that this one has. But this is pretty close, I've got to say, and I was surprised by that. This is a little more expensive. It's about $10 to $15 more expensive. If you want a more modern take on Lapidus Pour Homme, then Drakkar Intense is a good choice. And there's an obvious comparison here, and that is YSL's Kouros. This is one of the best men's scents of all time, and if I had like only 3 fragrances to wear for the rest of my life, this would be on that list. It is an absolute powerhouse. It's dirty, it's clean, it's versatile, it's animalic, it's musky, it's got a tiny bit of honey sweetness to it. Yeah, a lot of people really love the way this one smells, but there are a tiny percentage of people, women in particular, that despise the way this one smells. But Kouros is one of those scents that you wear for yourself first and foremost. It's just the peak of sort of like that alpha male style. I love Kouros. I'm always going to own a bottle of Kouros. And if you haven't checked this one out yet, definitely consider trying it on a sampler first, just because it's so potent. For that reason, it's not blind buy worthy, but I mean, I would tell you guys to blind buy this, but you may not be down with the way this one smells. Anyway, next up we've got Bogart Signature. How does this one smell? Barbershoppy, spicy, aromatic, bit of leather, bit of clothes, very old school, very fresh and intense. And the most obvious comparison here is Paco Rabanne's Pour Homme, which smells very close. Paco Rabanne Pour Homme is fresher. It's less in your face, so this is probably the better pick if you want to wear something straight out of the shower. It's a pretty solid option for that. And the other option here is one that I haven't spoken about too much, and that's Hugo Boss Number 1. This is another potent old school fragrance. And here's the bottle here. And let's just have a smell. Solid atomizer. This is the smoother of the 3 that are sort of related to one another. It's very nice. Again, it's very old school. It sort of reminds me of an old school shaving soap, one that you lather and when you go shave. It's very old school, very barbershoppy. It's on the fresher side. There's some aromatic notes here, touch of spice, maybe a touch of leather as well. But you do pay a premium for this one in comparison to Paco Rabanne's Pour Homme and Bogart's Signature. This is the cheapest of the bunch, and it has a slight harshness as well. I would say to anyone under the age of 35, these aren't going to be blind buy safe. You're going to want to sample these first. But if you're somebody that has a specific sort of aesthetic, you know, you're that Gordon Gekko type, maybe you're a power broker, something like that, these are going to suit that sort of style, even if you're a little younger. But these aren't going to be immediately obvious for compliments, but there's always that subset of people that are going to give you massive compliments for these sort of old school style of smells. If you're somebody that hangs out at a lot of barbershops and bars, like classy environments, you're probably smelling a lot of fragrances similar to this one anyway. Lapidus Pour Homme, what an iconic scent this is. Like classy hotel soap with like a honey twist to it. All of these fragrances are worth checking out, and if you've actually worn them before, let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And until the next video, my name is Aussie Marcel, and I'll catch you guys around.